Today's video is brought to you by Grotskull Workshop.
Hey everyone, Cadian Sergeant Steele here, and today I once again want to talk to you about a great unit that I absolutely love in the Astra Militarum Codex, and that is the Cadian Castellan. So here I got 6 models that I use for my Castellans. We have the official GW model built as it comes out of the kit. I have my Kit Bash Cadian Sergeant Steele that I use. Here is one of the limited edition models they had for the Catachan that I converted to be a Cadian commander with his own backstory. Out of production Forge World resin commander Arminka Lesk as the lieutenant model. And then here is a third-party Trader Guard commander that I have as well. So I just want to note that there are a lot of models available outside of even just the generic one. You can make your own or use the generic one or any of the special character models. And that's what I use for my Castellans or other commanders. So this unit got a huge glow up in the 10th edition Codex, and I want to talk about that because I think it's really important. And I'm going to be talking about all the commanders in my unit reviews because every single one of them has been improved. And that's really going to make a difference in how we list build, and I think is making the Guard much more adaptive here with the 10th edition Codex now available. So without any further ado, let's dive into it. As always, we start out with their stat line. So we have movement 6 inches, toughness 3, 5-up save with a 5-up invulnerable save. We have 4 wounds, leadership 7, 1 OC. Now that's pretty standard for a character model, especially that's not, Space Marines and so forth. We got 4 wounds, we have that toughness 3 and that 5-up save. So overall, pretty basic stat line, but the 4 wounds does help us to not be as squishy as our characters had been in previous editions. As for its loadout and its war gear, you could have a bolt gun, you could have a bolt pistol, you could have a plasma pistol, or you could have a las pistol. Now, one of the things, just modeling purposes, I like to do is you just have a pistol in a holster. And then what is that? Is it a plasma pistol, bolt pistol, las pistol? Most of them now are scaled to be las pistol scale. But really, I think it keeps it open for interpretation. So that's a great way where you could just kind of model it with the pistol and the holster. And then you could have any of those 3 choices available to you. Then for our melee, we have a chainsword. We have a close combat weapon. We have power fists. Oh, I do love a good power fist. And then we also have power weapons as well. So lots of good options to kind of kit out your Castellan to fit whatever theme you want it to have. Now, for its abilities, which makes this unit special, it does have leader. So this unit can attach to bodyguard units. In particular, our Castellans can attach to Cadians, like Cadian shock troops, and Kazarkins. So we have 2 units that we can put the Castellan into, and that's it. But that's good choices there. And each one of those has kind of different conditions, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. We have voice of command. So this is our army rule where we can issue orders. Now, one of the glow-ups, one of the big important glow-ups that this unit has gotten is that it can now issue 2 orders. It used to only be able to issue 1 order. So now with 2 orders, you don't need to take Grand Strategist every single time, which is in the Combined Arms Detachment, in order to make your Castellan a little more viable and to be able to do more on the battlefield. So this is the glow up. All of the commanders across the board generally got an additional order except for Leontis. So this is making a big difference for us in list building in 10th edition Astra Militarum Codex. Very excited about that. For its custom abilities, we have Senior Officer. While this model is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. That is really, really good and often overlooked about how important that can be. Now, I'll get back to that in just a moment when I talk about our tactics and strategy with this unit. Then we have Get Back in the Fight. While this model is leading a unit, that unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fell back. Do you have a hard time remembering what orders or abilities may be active while you're playing a game, especially with as complex of a game as Warhammer 40k? With the Astra Militarum Codex, we have all kinds of new abilities and options available. But I'm here to tell you that there's this amazing product to help out with it, and that's the Grotskull Workshop Order, Command Set, and Siege Regiment tokens that are available to us. So you can see here, you can get your orders and sit these tokens down next to your units to remember what orders you've issued to them. The command set has a number of abilities that allow you to remember all the specialty abilities that our units have that may be in play, from invuln saves to +1 to hit and wound for your Krieg units, or the -2 to move and charge abilities that our artillery can lay down oftentimes. Then there's a Siege Regiment set, which allows you to remember which detachment ability you've selected and what units those are applying to. There's lots of other tokens available as well. You can see Battle Shock tokens here. There's also Hunter Killer Missile tokens so you can remember. But for a limited time, there's Cadian Sergeant Steel dice and token bags that are available there at the Grotskull Workshop page on Etsy. And so you can get your order tokens in one of these, and so you can carry around the battlefield in style and never forget another order or unit ability or detachment ability again. So I do highly recommend all of his products. I've been using them for years and really love them. I'm so excited to be able to have this collaboration and bring something like this to you all. So there are a limited number of these Cadian Sergeant Steel bags, so go check out the link below and order yours today. So what the Cadian Castellan is, getting into strategy and tactics, it is our commander of ultimate flexibility and holding the line, right? That is what the Cadian Castellan represents. So when you put this into a unit, say your Cadian shock troops, you're going to be able to get into the thick of it, to drop back, and then do volley fire into your opponent. And that's what I think is one of the best, the most outstanding benefits of this unit. Being able to fall back and shoot just outright is huge. And I think a great buff to how we want to play. Now, you could do that in a few different ways as well. You could do it, say, with the Cadian shock troops in large blobs, 20-man units, with a Cadian command squad, and I'll cover that unit in a separate video, with a Castellan, because you can have both a Cadian command squad and a Castellan join your Cadian shock troops. And so then you have even more models. And the benefit of that is so you have this big blob that's kind of hard to kill, right? You can resurrect models every turn with the Cadian command squad. You have the ability to get into a fight, fall back, and shoot with the Castellan, and you get sustained hits 1. So in one scenario, you could attach your Cadian Castellan to a big blob of Cadian shock troops, 20-man unit, plus a 5-man command squad, plus the Castellan. So just in the command squad alone, you would have up to 2 plasma pistols plus a plasma gun. Then the Castellan also has a plasma pistol. So you have 3 plasma pistols plus a plasma gun. Then you add in the shock troops, you have 2 more plasma guns. So that is a lot of plasma shots, just outright, and very, very strong. This, combined with sustained hits, because you're also rapid fire 1 without an order, really gives you a chance to kind of fish for those 6s to hit and generate more hits. Also, if we're using the combined arms detachment, those can be lethal hits, right? So now we're just talking a ton of plasma shots. You might as well overcharge, by the way, since you're resurrecting models every turn. If you need that flat 2 damage or that extra AP and so forth. So to do that extra strength and AP and damage that you can get on an overcharged plasma gun, right? So when you do that, that is just a lot of damage. And at that point, you can start really like taking down Space Marines. You're not just trying to overwhelm them simply with dice and get them to fail their 3-up armor saves with your las guns. You are actually punching through their armor. They're saving on 6s, maybe 5s with cover. And you're just absolutely kind of running through them, right? And that's a really strong combo. And that's what the Cadian Castellan can offer. And oftentimes your opponent's going to think, oh, well, guards shoot, so I'll charge into them and tie them up in melee. And your Castellan's like, well, I'm going to fall back and then watch this trick. And you just absolutely overwhelm your opponent. This can also work with melta-guns, though. So in that same scenario, you take 2 melta-guns in the Cadian shock troops in 20-man squad, and then you take a melta-gun in your command squad. So that's 3 melta-guns. They're only 1 shot each, but with sustained hits, you have a chance with half the time when you shoot of procting an additional hit from your sustained hits 1. And that's really important if you are happen to try to take down an elite, a monster, or a vehicle, and you need those plasma gun shots to really, really get through. By having the Castellan in there, having that ability, you get that kind of flexibility. You also get the ability to intentionally charge your opponent's units to tie them up to prevent movement or to prevent them from holding an objective, let's say, or to lower their shooting. Your Cadians with a Castellan could just charge right in, and it's as long as you know you're not going to be taken out in melee, you could then fall back on your turn and then shoot, right? You have not lost any of the shooting capability of your Cadian shock troops when you have a Castellan involved. And I think that's one of the greatest benefits, and what makes Cadian shock troops with a Castellan one of the most flexible units in terms of tactics and strategy, or tactics in particular, on the battlefield, right? In the moment decision making. The Castellan creates that for us. And I think that's really, really strong and really, really wonderful. And that's generally how I run the Castellan. Now, your other alternative here is you could put the Castellan with a group of Kazarkin. Now, the reason you may do this is numerous. Part of that is you could give them a second order, right? Now, it could be a little bit wasted. Kazarkin can already grant themselves an order. So the 2 orders from the Castellan is overkill on the Kazarkin by themselves. But you could save that extra order for a unit nearby. If you know that the way your overall strategy means your Kazarkin are going to be close by to another unit that you can issue that order to. Perhaps it's a sentinel, perhaps it's another group of infantry, right? And you have that second order kind of floating around, but you got to be within 6 inches because you will not have a Master Vox with your Kazarkin. So you're going to have shorter order range there. But that's something that you could do. And with that, it also gives, once again, the ability to fall back and shoot and sustain hits 1 with all the special weapons that the Kazarkin have can be very, very strong. And something that could be really beneficial depending on what you're going for. Now, all this matters in your list building. Like, why are you taking units and what role do you expect them to play in your army? So if you want your Kazarkin to be this really, really hard-hitting unit, you may want to consider a leader like the Castellan to be attached to them to increase that firepower potential, right? You'll lose your Scout 6, and so there could be some drawback to that. And currently the Castellan is half the points cost roughly of a group of Kazarkin. So that's a huge points increase for a rather minor buff. So I think that's why we probably don't see that a whole lot, but not to say that it couldn't be beneficial. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish and what you're doing. And this could change over time, especially as we play through these new detachments we have. And also the meta changes constantly if you're playing more competitive or even your local meta, whether it's competitive, casual, or narrative scene, you may need your Castellan in with those units to take up that different role. More often than not, for me, I highly recommend taking the Castellan with larger blobs of Cadian shock troops. I think it's really beneficial to do that. And oftentimes I'll put the Castellan up front on the front line, trying to take the midfield or backfield objectives. That'll be my goal, because it'll be my ultimate flexible unit that can fulfill that role on the battlefield, no matter what my opponent kind of throws at them. I've had in the past, units 25, 26-man units of Cadians, right? 20-man shock troops plus 5-man command squad plus a Castellan really, really take some hits and stick around. I've even had, units like Angron charge that kind of a blob and survive. And then I fall back and still shoot. And this isn't even counting having an Ogren bodyguard to make yourself even more resilient, because you can throw that in there as well, so that you have a few extra wounds and can really kind of tank some of those hits. And so this can be a very resilient unit that you move up that way. And the Castellan offers a lot of flexibility. Now, this is in context. You got to know what your opponent's army is capable of and how you need to react to that. So do keep that in mind. The 26-man unit I'm talking about won't weather everything. And there are some things out there that will actually blender right through this. So you just got to be careful and be aware of what your opponent's capabilities are, and to be able to judge those in the moment to figure out what tactics you want to employ once you put these units down on the battlefield. So that's it for today. I think the Cadian Castellan is a phenomenal unit. I highly recommend it, and I have absolutely no bias at all in this regard. So I definitely, if you're going to have Cadians, if you're going to have Kazarkin, have a Castellan laying around. This is definitely something you want in your painted models to have ready to be able to play on the battlefield. So that's it for today. I hope you've all enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And there's plenty of other unit reviews for the 10th edition codex as well. There's also the 10th edition index videos I've already recorded. You can go back and watch, as many of those are still relevant with the new codex. So you can go catch those as well. Also, battle reports and many other videos you can watch, and painting tutorials so you can paint your models similarly to how I paint mine. So please go and check those out. If you really, really love what I've been doing here, please go check out my membership for YouTube. You can sign up to be a White Shield for just $2 a month, or you could go for higher ranks, say private or sergeant, and get access to the Cadian Sergeant Steel Discord channel, where we're talking hobbying, painting, list building, narrative, and so many other things in the Cadian Sergeant Steel Discord. So you can become a member of that today and be a part of that. And real quick, I do want to shout out my members of private and higher. So we have Jesse, we have Brendan M, we have Logan W, we have Nicholas S, we have Jacob E, and Jerry T. So all of those are private or sergeants, and I really appreciate each of you supporting the channel in that way. It really, really means a lot. So, as always, I hope you've had, as always, I hope you've enjoyed this. Have fun wargaming, and remember, Cadia stands.